the country. Terry talks about her journey to Ivy League institutions. She went to Brown, she went to Harvard. She talks to moving with grace in corporate environments. She talks about why she stepped away from American Express as the youngest Black vice president, to become an owner of a Black bank. And it's just really interesting. And we learn more about One United, which is very impressive. So before we get into it, guys, I just want to ask that you please like, please share, please subscribe to the podcast. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, hit the subscribe button, hit the hype button, share it with somebody. Um, Leave me a comment for sure, because I love to engage with you guys in the comments. We have the Facebook group. The link is below. Um, what else? We've got the free resources tool, coffeenocream.com/free. And yeah, I think that is it. So let's just get into the episode. So welcome, Terry. How are you today?
I'm good, Erin. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm super excited to be here. And I just want to start it off by asking you a question. You walked away from American Express to take over a struggling bank, if I'm not incorrect. And most people would call that crazy. What did you see that nobody else saw when you made that move?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have to think back. I think that the main thing that I saw was that there was a need to provide financial services to the Black community, and I really didn't see it being done. Actually, we tried to partner with some banks to offer services directly to the Black community, and we couldn't get any bank to partner with us. So we ultimately realized that we had to actually own the bank in order to do it.
Okay. So when you say we tried,
Yes,
explain that.
yes. So I had a business partner. He's now my husband, and we
Yes.
both own the bank together, and we've been business partners, and we've been married for over 30 years. So yes, it was the two of us. He had worked at Solomon Brothers. He was working at Solomon Brothers at the time. I was at American Express. But yeah, we realized that, in order to do what we wanted to do, which was to lift up the Black community and focus specifically on, economic well-being, banking, financial services, that in order to do that, we actually had to own a bank.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So, what year was that?
Oh, 95. I had to think
95.
back.
Okay.
95.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. And this has always been because I've looked at, it's like, do I need to get a bank account with them? Like, do I need to open a bank account with them? So tell us a little bit about your journey, though, okay? Because I know you've got the Ivy League background. I want to know more. I want people to know who Terry is, where Terry came from, how Terry got to be the owner of a bank.
Yeah. So it's funny you would ask that question the way you did, because usually I would answer that question, or for years, by giving my resume. But what I realized in my 50s, so a little too old to have realized this, that I am who I am because of my great grandmother. We called her Ma Honey. Everybody else called her Miss Honey. Her name was Annie Coachman. And she owned a penny candy store where I used to work, a barbecue pit where she sold barbecue, a juke joint where I learned how to play pool, and a bunch of rental apartments. And I used to follow her around to collect rent. So she owned these businesses on the Black side of town in this small town called Indiantown, Florida, in Booker Park. And really, since I was born, I mean, she owned those businesses for way before I was born, in the 40s. And so my whole life, I was raised in an entrepreneurial community. I didn't think of her that way. I didn't think of her as a businesswoman. I just thought of her as my great grandmother. But I
Mhm.
realized that when I went from Indiantown to Brown, I became embarrassed or ashamed of my
Mm.
roots.
Yeah.
And I buried her and my whole upbringing, the first 17 years of my life. I buried and started to give credit to my success to Brown University, majoring in economics and Harvard Business School and all that stuff. And now, as I have aged and have really thought the origins of my success, I realized it was my great grandmother.
I love that. Um, because we've talked about on the podcast how Black women were the most educated. We hold all of these degrees and certifications, and we put so much emphasis on them, and it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. Um, but we're more than that, right? And when I recently did an episode because I think that as we try to navigate what's going on right now politically, we're trying to figure out, when we're losing our jobs, if we try to go get another corporate job, we're trying to stay so, hard and true to what it is we were trained to do, educated to do. There's other facets of us. And I talked about how I live in St. Louis, grew up in St. Louis, and my dad's 82. And when we drive around St. Louis, he's pointing out what used to be here and what used to be there, and this abandoned building and that abandoned building. And I just wish I could have seen it, all all the Black businesses that were there, and then
Yes,
all of
yeah,
the things, all
yeah.
of the things. So, but yeah, maybe talk about that because I'm sure you see like so many businesses, and now my whole thing is everybody's a consultant, right? I consult too. Like I say this and I'm laughing at myself, but I also have, rental property and other things. But, you know, what are you seeing? Like, what are you seeing? Like these epiphanies that Black people are having, Black business owners, things like that, when it comes to maybe stepping away from corporate. I don't know. Like, I'm curious to what you see.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think, we sort of are going in two different directions. I do think that we recognize that corporate America or government jobs carry a risk. I think we thought of them as safe jobs and being an entrepreneur as being risky. But we're now realizing that, there's a risk to that path as well.
Sure.
And so, yeah. And so a lot of us are, whether it's, doing something on the side or, leaving our corporate, our quote, safe jobs and starting businesses or even acquiring businesses, which, I definitely, promote. I think we're starting to see those avenues as being more fulfilling, and maybe even more secure. So that's one path that we're seeing, and we're seeing it with the huge, increase in new businesses that has happened since the pandemic, particularly in the Black community, but also with women and just across the board. I think the other thing is that we're also seeing the importance of technology. So, when I think of my great grandmother and her businesses, if she had only had social media,
Right.
people used to come from like West Palm Beach and drive all the way to Indiantown to get a barbecue. But if she had had social media, she would have had people from Miami. She would have had people from all over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're starting to recognize that with our businesses, I don't care whether they're brick and mortar or whether they're, consulting or, what they are, that we really need to think technology first and think about how we can promote ourselves, how we can do business and leverage technology. So those are the things that I see are happening in our community.
Value that you bring to the table so you can start to charge for that value. So
Yeah.
I did get
And you can find that at wayunite.com/wise one. I want to say that because if your listeners are interested, but We really want our community to embrace AI.
How you doing, guys? I wanted to touch base about another content creator that I would love for you guys to go subscribe to her page. She has a YouTube channel called Coffee No Cream. This lady is phenomenal in terms of entrepreneurship and speaking mostly to women about the different complexities, coming from working a corporate job and obviously being educated in many different areas as far as, college and future and higher education. She does have that background. She is a strong entrepreneur in terms of business, and I think she is phenomenal. I repeat that over again. I just love to see women who have their ear right to the local communities and what we are doing as far as women and some of the issues that we deal with in business, in life, learning the social, economic struggles and challenges that we deal with, trying to work, trying to be entrepreneurs rather. So I want to just touch a little bit about her episode 57. She had another phenomenal woman who I don't remember her name, but nonetheless, please go check it out on her channel, Coffee No Cream. It's episode 57. This woman owned literally the American Express Bank, her and her partner, her husband. Um, she took on or acquired a couple of banks because her intention was she wanted to find funding for Black people, right? She didn't think that a lot of banks gave a lot of programs and opportunities and initiative geared towards the Black community, and that was her intentions to start her programs or initiatives in this area. And so she couldn't find a bank that would be willing to take on projects of this matter. So what she and her husband did is they went and acquired a bank. I think it's awesome, but I won't talk too much and give about her personal content. I found the episode really, really empowering and informative, and specifically, there was an area that I focused on primarily outside of the social economic piece of it, where it was a conversation around how this very powerful woman in the financial sector, right, who obviously had to go through a lot of different challenges. First of all, as being a Black woman taking on something as powerful as owning a bank and all of the nuances that come with that. But she spoke primarily about her beginning stages of being an entrepreneur and going into business and how she remembered back to her grandmother or her mother. I think she said, and please, if I misquoted the information, please forgive me. More the reason to go look at episode 57, right, of her channel. But she talked about, she stuffed a lot of her past about being raised by a woman who was an entrepreneur. She really didn't see the experiences watching this powerful woman in her life own properties and collect rent at the time. And she didn't give much thought to it. And she stuffed a lot of her background and her past when she was rising to the top professionally. But she stated as she got older, she thought a lot about it. Obviously, she may have stuffed it down, but it wasn't stuffed so far to where it didn't come up in recollection that a lot of the skills and talents and things that she had being a entrepreneur rather, a woman with a strong vision, it came from the women that came before her. And she gave a lot of credit in her latter years after, disassociating herself from the American Express Bank and leaving that bank, how when she thought about a lot of things in her life, she regret that part the most, was stuffing down her past and the women that came before her and how powerful they were and how instrumental they were into her own skill sets, her knowledge as an entrepreneur, her strength and her resiliency and her ability to have that vision. And she regretted that part of her experience. It touched me a little, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that because the title of this video is Black Women Don't Have a Money Problem. And one of the things that the lady in the video in episode 57 talked about was that no, Black women don't have a money problem. And I agree. She stated that one of the areas that Black women should be looking into is technology. And that is something that if we have the fortitude and the presidents to learn, this is a really rich area of growth where we can pick up AI and understand how AI can be extremely useful in the future for women, carbon women, women of color, Black women, whatever title you want to basically self-identify yourself as, but nonetheless, as women, this is a very strong area of interest and a strong area to educate ourselves, and we can teach and grow and create some really positive businesses. So I thought it was a very interesting episode. I wanted to touch base on it. It's episode 57, Coffee No Cream. Check it out, guys. It's definitely one of her better and best podcast and videos. And I thank you so much for the episode. But yes, I agree. Technology is the way to go. It is the future. Do not be afraid. Go take courses. Go do your certificates. Go to the seminars, the study. Go learn. Learn as much as you can. I mean, if you went as far as to receive your degree and any type of higher education or furthering your education in any kind of other sector, this is the one you may want to actually buckle down and take some time and get to learn. I think it's interesting. I think it's fun as hell. It's new, and there's so much creative content and creative ideas that can be sparked. And the partnerships. I haven't even gone into the partnerships, but we'll get to that in another video. But check it out, episode 57, Coffee No Cream. Thanks so much for the episode. It was really awesome.
This is Matriarch Endeavor's YouTube channel. We welcome you. Thank you for watching.